We don't want to alarm people, Sophie, so let me just stress that for BC right now, this is a tsunami watch. It's a lower level bulletin. It simply means that for BC, the danger level is not yet entirely known, so stay tuned for more updates.
Government watchdog just caught the Prime Minister hiding almost $100 billion. That's right, $100 billion. And the craziest part? Right after getting caught, a mysterious poll drops saying everyone suddenly loves him. I'm going to show you exactly how I exposed this whole thing. My post went so viral that I became the #1 trending news story in all of Canada. And what I did was so simple, yet so brilliant, that even the mainstream media couldn't ignore it. This is the kind of stuff they pray you never find out about. The kind of scandal that would end a government anywhere else in the world. But in Canada, they just hire a polling company to tell you everything's fine. Except this time, we're not buying it, and I'm going to show you exactly why. But first, if you want to know what's really happening in Canada, the stuff they don't want you to see, the truth they try to bury under fake polls and dishonest accounting, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button right now. Because the people who watch these videos and share them, you're the reason this information gets out there. You're the reason we can fight back against the manipulation. So do me a favor, take 2 seconds right now, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and then settle in. Trust me, what I'm about to show you is absolutely wild. Let's jump in. Part 1. Caught red-handed with $94 billion. Here's what happened. Canada has something called the Parliamentary Budget Officer. Think of him as the country's accountant. His job is simple. Check the government's math and make sure they're not lying about money. Well, this guy just dropped a bomb. He looked at Prime Minister Mark Carney's budget and found something shocking. The government said they were spending $311 billion on capital investments. That means building roads, bridges, big projects that help the country grow, stuff that actually creates value for the future. But the budget officer did his own math. He said, wait a minute, only $217 billion of that is actually capital investment. Let me break this down. That's a $94 billion difference, almost $100 billion that Carney tried to hide by putting it in the wrong box. Think about what $94 billion means. That's enough money to give every Canadian family thousands of dollars. That's enough to build entire cities. And Carney just tried to hide it by calling it something it's not. Imagine telling your wife you spent $5,000 investing in your future. But really, you spent $3,000 on regular bills and only $2,000 on actual investments. You'd be in big trouble, right? That's what Carney did. But with billions of our tax dollars, money that comes out of your pocket every time you get a paycheck. The budget officer said it straight. The government's definition of capital investments is way too big. They're putting stuff in there that other countries would never count as investments. He even pointed to the United Kingdom. The UK inspired this whole budget idea. But in the UK, they use stricter rules. They don't play these games. Here's why it matters. If you're not really spending money on productive investments, if you're just calling regular expenses investments to look good, you won't get the economic growth you promised. The whole plan falls apart. Carney promised Canadians he would balance the day-to-day budget in 3 years. But according to the budget officer, that's not happening. Not even close. Get this. The budget officer said there's only a 7.5% chance the government will meet their own targets. Less than 1 in 10. You have better odds at a casino. Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, didn't hold back. He stood up and said, Mark Carney cooked the books. He's calling day-to-day spending investment. This is dishonest. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation was even more direct. Carney is using creative accounting to hide the spiraling debt. Creative accounting. That's a polite way of saying lying with numbers. It's what companies do before they go bankrupt. It's what governments do before they collapse. Now, you'd think people would be mad about this, right? The government got caught hiding $94 billion. That should be front-page news for weeks. But wait until you see what happened next. Because somehow, a poll came out saying Carney is more popular than ever. And that's where this story gets really interesting. Part 2. The fishy poll nobody believes. So the budget officer just exposed Carney's budget as fake accounting. You'd think polls would show people are angry, right? Nope. Out of nowhere, a poll drops from EKOS Research. And this poll says the Liberal Party is winning in every province, even Alberta, which has been conservative forever. The headline says, Liberals now lead in Alberta and every region across the country. According to EKOS, if there was an election tomorrow, Liberals would win with 44%. Conservatives, only 33%. And EKOS claims the reason is simple. Canadians think Carney's budget is transformational, the best budget ever. Wait, right after getting caught hiding $94 billion, a poll says everyone loves the budget? That makes zero sense. So I started digging, and I found something juicy. I looked up EKOS Research. Guess who's been paying them? The Liberal government. In 2024 alone, EKOS got almost $1.5 million in contracts from the Liberals. Let me show you the receipts. I always bring receipts. Here's $200,000, then $150,000, then another $100,000, all just days apart. Then $250,000. A week later, another payment. In just 2 weeks, EKOS got $500,000. Let's keep going. $60,000 here, $100,000 in August, $162,000 in July. In 6 months, almost $1 million. Then in June, $276,000. March, $80,000. January, another $100,000. Total, $1.5 million from the Liberal government to EKOS in 1 year. Now, I'm not saying EKOS is making up poll numbers to help their biggest client. But if someone paid you $1.5 million, then they got caught in a scandal, then you published a poll saying everyone loves them, wouldn't that seem fishy? But it gets worse. I looked at the poll details. EKOS says Liberals are winning in the prairies, Alberta and Saskatchewan. How many people did they ask in the prairies? Guess. 128 people. That's it. They asked 128 people and declared Liberals are leading there. The margin of error? 8%. Normal polls have a 3% margin of error max. 8% means the poll is basically worthless. But EKOS published it anyway, and media reported it as real news. When I saw this, I got angry. This is manipulation. This is why people don't trust anything anymore. So I decided to fight back. What I did next went absolutely viral. Part 3. My revenge goes viral. I'm looking at this fake EKOS poll thinking, if they're going to give us garbage, let's show everyone how garbage it really is. So I made my own poll. EKOS made a map showing Liberals winning everywhere. I thought, let's take this further. I made the entire map red. Every province, every region, completely conservative red. Then I created seat numbers. Latest EKOS poll. Liberals, 343 seats, up 74. Conservatives, 0 seats, down 144. Bloc, 0 seats, down 22. NDP, 0 seats green, 0. That's right, Conservatives win every single seat. Even Elizabeth May loses her seat. Total wipeout. I posted it on X with a simple explanation. Within hours, it exploded. Over 124,000 views in 7 hours. Then I became the #1 trending news story in Canada. Not number 5, number 1. The headline, Satirical EKOS poll graphic by Mark Nixon ignites X reaction in Canadian election. I trolled them so hard I became the news. My favorite comment said, the amount of people that actually think this is real is concerning. He was right. Some people thought my all-red map was real, which shows how crazy the actual polls have become. Someone said, you need to put a satire label. Liberals and CBC will post this as fact. My response? If EKOS can post a poll based on 128 people with an 8% margin of error and call it real, then my satire makes just as much sense. Another person wrote, this is only funny because it's a slight exaggeration of the ridiculous polling propaganda being pushed around. Exactly. That's the whole point. I showed everyone that when polls don't make sense, when numbers contradict what just happened, when a company paid $1.5 million by the government suddenly says that government is super popular right after a scandal, you should question it. By making it extreme, by making it obvious, I got thousands of people talking about how ridiculous these polls are. We're regular people. We're not politicians or billionaires. But we have our voices. We have social media. We can expose the truth. And when we do it together, we create waves that crash down on all their lies. But while this is happening, there's more crazy stuff going on that nobody's talking about. Part 4. Carney's sketchy background. While everyone's distracted by polls, let's talk about who Mark Carney really is. Before becoming Canada's Prime Minister, Carney ran the Bank of England. That's like being in charge of Britain's money. And British politicians say he did a terrible job. A British official said this: "I think it's extraordinary that Mark Carney became Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job as Governor of the Bank of England. He created problems that I got blamed for. Those were actually created by him." Let that sink in. The British government says Carney messed up their economy. Now he's running ours. The official continued, "He backed policies that are leading Britain to bankruptcy. Why on earth did Canada select this man?" Then he compared economies. At the turn of the millennium, the average Brit was catching up with Americans. Now we're $34,000 a year behind. We're poorer than Mississippi, the poorest American state. Pause. Britain is now poorer than the poorest state in America. And they're blaming the same policies Carney is using here. The official finished. The same is true of France, Germany, and Canada. They pursued high taxes, high spending, not using natural resources. Trudeau was the architect, and Carney has been the advocate. People in Canada need to wake up. So we have a prime minister who Britain says ruined their economy, now doing the same here. But there's more weird stuff happening. I saw this headline: "Should grandparents pay to take care of their grandchildren?" What? Grandparents used to love watching grandkids. Now we're asking if they should pay for it. Someone posted, "The sign of a strong economy. Grandparents want to be paid to watch grandchildren. This is not normal. This is what happens when an economy fails." And here's another big problem nobody talks about. 90% of Canadians live within 160 kilometers of the US border. We're the second largest country by land, but we're all squeezed into a strip along America's border. Why? Because that's where the economy is. 77% of Canada's trade is with the United States. More than 3/4 of everything we buy and sell, our ports, roads, supply chains, business relationships, it all runs north and south across the border. So when Carney says we can replace that trade with other countries, it's fantasy. We don't have the ports for shipping to Europe or Asia. We don't have the relationships. We don't have the infrastructure. It would take decades to build. Meanwhile, our economy would collapse. But sure, let's pretend we can stop trading with America and everything will be fine. This is what Carney's budget doesn't address, because it's easier to cook the books and pay for polls saying everything is great. And now, let me tie this all together for you. Part 5. The truth we can't ignore. Let me bring this all together because this is important. We've got a prime minister who Britain says ruined their economy. Now he's running ours. He just released a budget that hides $94 billion by calling regular expenses investments. Right after getting caught, a polling company that got $1.5 million from the government says everyone loves the budget. The poll uses tiny samples with huge error margins, but media reports it as fact anyway. Meanwhile, real problems get worse. People can't afford food. Housing is impossible. The economy is failing. The government's solution? More spending, more borrowing, more debt. The Parliamentary Budget Officer warned this is unsustainable. Credit agencies are warning Canada's rating could drop, making borrowing more expensive for everyone. But Carney keeps saying everything is fine. Trust the budget, trust the polls. Except we caught them cooking the books. We caught the polling company on their payroll. We caught them using accounting tricks their own watchdog calls dishonest. So here's what I did. I exposed it. I made it so obvious and ridiculous that it became Canada's #1 trending news story. Because sometimes the best way to show truth is to mirror the absurdity. When I made that fake poll showing conservatives with 343 seats and liberals at 0, people got it. They saw how silly real polls have become. Thousands shared it. We started conversations. We made people question the narratives. That's our power. We're regular people, not politicians, not billionaires, not media moguls. But we have voices. We have social media. We can share information, ask questions, demand honesty. Mainstream media won't ask Carney, "Why did you cook the books? Why hide $94 billion? Do you think we're stupid?" They won't ask, but we can. We can share the budget officer's report. We can show EKOS getting $1.5 million from government. We can point out the 8% error margin on 128 people. We can do the work journalists used to do. And together, we create waves, big waves that crash down on lies and manipulation. That's what happened with my post. One frustrated person exposing a fake poll. It became national news because people recognized truth in the satire. So here's my challenge. Don't just accept what you're told. Question it. Look for receipts. Check sources. When someone says the budget is amazing, check the budget officer's analysis. When someone shows a poll, ask who paid for it and what the sample size was. When someone promises to balance the budget, ask for real math, not creative accounting. Because here's the thing about cooking books. Eventually someone checks the recipe, and when they do, the meal falls apart. Carney's budget is falling apart now. The budget officer checked and found half the ingredients were fake, but Carney hopes you won't notice. He hopes paid polls and friendly coverage will distract you. Don't let them. Stay informed, stay skeptical. Share this video with everyone, because this information is what they don't want getting out. Tomorrow, I'm dropping another video about clone meat in Canada. Yeah, clone meat. The government is pushing it, and most Canadians don't know. Make sure you're subscribed because you won't want to miss it. Remember, they count on us being distracted. They count on us not paying attention, not asking questions. But we're smarter than that. We see through cooked books. We see through paid polls. We see through all of it. The more of us who wake up and ask questions, the harder it gets for them to get away with this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring enough to stick around. Thank you for wanting truth instead of accepting lies. Share this video. Comment what you think. I'll see you tomorrow for the clone meat investigation. Stay strong, Canada. We'll get through this together. When they cook the books, we bring the receipts. See you next time.